Tennessee has had their share of some of their best defensive players to come through Knoxville. You talk about guys like Reggie White, Albert Haynesworth, John Henderson. The list goes on and on. There's another guy that I think could be arguably the best defensive player in college football for 2024. His name is James Pearce. James Pearce is a freak of an athlete. 6'5", 245 pounds, long, athletic pass rusher. Has the ability to make any play at any time. And believe it or not, I don't think he started only 2 games last year as a sophomore. So he's going to be a day one starter, and he still led the team in sacks. Still, when you look at James Pearce, you see how tall this dude is, how strong this dude is, how much of an athlete this guy is. And you saw it in the Cheez-It Bowl. You saw how dominant he looked during that pick 6. Look at how fast that dude was. He looks like he may run a 4.5, 4.6. And people are already looking at this dude as a potential number 1 draft pick going into the 2025 NFL draft. Pro Football Focus's Max Chadwick, he ranked his top edge rushers and all of his top defensive players going into the 2024 season. James Pearce is in the top spot. This guy has a lot of big-time potential. He said in his article, with the 2025 NFL draft looking like it'll feature a weaker quarterback class, there's a real chance that Pearce could be the number 1 overall pick. I don't know what's going to happen. I do think whoever has the number 1 pick, they're going to go offensive. It's a guarantee, honestly, because you're still going to look for a franchise cornerstone, whether it be at receiver, whether it be at running back, whether it be wherever. And you're talking about a class that features Harold Perkins in it as well. And I look at James Pearce and I look at Harold Perkins, and I saw the season that Perkins had last year, and I saw how much better Pearce got. I still like Harold Perkins. I do think he's going to be a first-round draft pick in 2025, but he's not going to be a top 5 pick, unlike James Pearce is. What James Pearce brings to the table is no doubt much more than what Harold Perkins brings. Pearce is a guy that can line up in a 3-point stance, sitting on at that 5 edge, can get off the ball really fast, is able to rip under, especially when he goes off a quick rush, a little chop move. His chop is so quick. As soon as the offensive lineman's hand comes up, boom, he's chopping. He has that arm up so he can maintain his balance. And all he does is kind of like continuing to swim. They call it a chop. They call it a dip and rip is what they call it as an edge rusher. I'm a former defensive lineman myself, and I love defensive linemen. I love watching them play. I love evaluating them. I like James Pearce as a top 10 pick, or excuse me, top 5 pick. Do I think he's going to be the number 1 overall pick? I don't think so. Just knowing how NFL GMs are nowadays. But when I look at this dude, I look at how much of an athlete he is. He's fast, he's athletic, he's rangy, he's lanky. He's a guy that I think is going to make a lot of noise for the Narek, the Nagurski, the Outland, all the big-time defensive lineman awards, and arguably becoming the best defensive player, not just in the SEC, but also in college football. And since we're on the topic of winning, let's go ahead and talk about our good friends over at MyBookie. If you are still on the hunt for a sports book to call home, you have to bet the nonstop action of March Madness with MyBookie. Enter bracket contests for chances to take home prizes of up to $25,000, or pick from a huge selection of straight bets, props, and odds boosts. Whatever your style, MyBookie makes it so easy to play your way and get paid. Sign up now at MYBOOKIE.ag and take advantage of our generous welcome offer to secure a massive first deposit bonus of up to $1,000. All you got to do, claim promo code SECU. But the fun doesn't stop there. Get up-to-minute odds, free bets, and expert predictions to help you decide who to put your money on. The best part about MyBookie, you can bet on anything, anytime, from anywhere. Just use promo code SECU to secure your limited one-time welcome bonus today. Not available in all states. Must be 21 or older to use. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. So, going back to James Pearce, where do you use him? Where could he play best? To me, he can play anywhere on the field. I think he's a guy that I think can play where Harold Perkins was used last year for LSU. I think you can put him in the dirt and you can put him on the edge, or you can drop him back as an outside linebacker and cover a free release running back or a tight end off the line of scrimmage. So when you look at how he plays, when you line him up on the edge, last year he had a 21.3% pressure rate. That's third among all edge rushers in the country. And his 92.4 pass rush grade, the fourth most valuable Power 5 edge defender, according to Pro Football Focus's wins above average metric. So when you look at how he plays, when you see him as a down defensive lineman, I already mentioned his ability with his pass rush moves. I also see how good he is with a long arm. Whenever you first get off the line of scrimmage, if a standing offensive lineman is standing straight up, if he's exposing his chest, Pearce is going to go in there, grab the guy by right near his shoulder pad, right around the collarbone area, and just push back. And when he sits down to try and avoid getting pushed back into the backfield, that's what we call an extend, peek, and release. We're going to rip off of that. We're going to rip it back up off of that hip. We're going to rush, and we're going to get a sack. That's what he brings to the table. That's not just the only move, by the way. He also establishes his ability to defend the run. When you watch him, he has that ability to squeeze down. When he sees a pulling back, when he sees a pulling guard, he has that ability to get up underneath the guard's hip, take out the guard, and be able to have the crashing linebackers get away from that guard and make a play on the ball. He has that uncanny ability to do every single one of those things. This is also something that our friends over at PFF mentioned about him. In fact, an AFC West scout who covers the conference told me that Pearce would be the first defensive player drafted in the 2024 class if he were draft eligible. Expectations are high for Pearce, but his speed and savvy pass rush moves are worthy of the hype. I don't think he would be the first defensive player picked. I think that would be Dallas Turner. But of course, I'm biased. But he would definitely be one of the first three defensive players picked. But watching Pearce, next year is going to be a multi-million-dollar year for him. When you look at him play, don't be surprised if at the end of the year he comes away with a good bit of hardware, a good bit of legacy to leave behind for Tennessee, and his establishment as one of the greatest defensive players, not just maybe even for Tennessee, but also in all of college football.